Mother's Day on Kababayan. Today we are honoring and hopefully learning from two moms. And I say they are successful because they've raised successful children. Tita Rocio Nuda, I consider her my second mom. I love her so much. Thank you so much for coming here on Kababayan today to share your story.
You're most welcome, Janelle.
Exceptional woman. She raised 5 children by herself. Single mom. She was widowed when your eldest was?
He was 19, I think, at the time.
And your youngest was?
And my youngest was, I think, 9 or 10.
Okay, now we're going to have some very exciting discussions today on the show. Angela is also a successful mom. She raised Mia McLeod. And Mia, you see her quite regularly here on Kababayan today on our Real Estate Buzz segment here on the program. And she raised 2 daughters also on your own, right?
Yes.
How old were they when you became a single mom?
2 and 5.
2 and 5. Okay. Unang tanong, what is the most difficult thing about being a mom? Okay.
Okay. Well, I guess I'm more fortunate than most because the first part of my motherhood was spent in the Philippines, where I had the luxury to stay home.
Okay.
You know, staying home and just focusing on raising the children. It was their formative years. So, you know, motherhood, I considered at that time, was more of a blessing and joyful as opposed to being difficult.
Right.
Yeah.
Because you also had household help in the Philippines.
The lifestyle in the Philippines.
Right,
you had a driver driving you around, and the children were being driven.
So you were just focused on the kids.
On the kids.
What about you, Tita?
I wish I had
the same, right?
Yeah.
Did you raise them here in the States?
They were born and raised here.
Okay.
And I personally took care of them.
Okay.
And so I was hands-on with my children. And it was not easy. It was fun because I love kids. But it was never easy for me because I was alone doing all that, you know.
Plus working.
A mother and a father at the same time.
Yeah, plus working, plus providing for them.
Plus working, and plus I have to work hard because to provide what they need.
Right.
Yes.
Did you want to add something to that, Tita Rocio?
Yes, and I was going to say that the second part of my motherhood was the years after we immigrated to the United States. So the lifestyle was different. So it became more difficult because then the challenges of adjusting to a new lifestyle and culture. The children in particular had to adjust to a new educational rudiment, you know, new friends, and discovering a more liberal value system.
Yes.
So the challenges were there.
Yes, let's talk about you, Tita Angela, because you had 2 daughters. And when you talk about more liberal system, more parents worry about their daughters more than they worry about their sons.
That is very true because in my case, I tried very, very hard to make things normal as it is, you know, because we know it's already an abnormal situation, just being divorced.
It's not usual, yes.
It's not usual. And to be a mother and a father at the same time, it's really difficult. I always remember my little kids would write me notes and say, "You're an amazing mom, and you're also an amazing dad," right?
Oh, how
so
sweet.
they're, you know, that's what they always tell me. And if it's Mother's Day, they would greet me Happy Mother's Day. And if Father's Day come along, they will also greet me.
You get 2.
But I get 2, yeah.
Right. But what about, did
because
you feel...
I was actually, Janelle, I was a single mom for a long time.
Yeah.
But I remarried. I'm happily married now.
No, but single mom for a long time. How do you feel? Did you feel the need to overcompensate? And there's a danger in that because when you're overcompensating, you run the risk of spoiling the children.
No, in my case, I had to recalibrate my motherhood style because there were the typical adolescent challenges, you know, the I know it all, you know, I'm a grown-up now mom, so therefore I had to adjust to that, and I had to tackle those challenges or those difficulties with a double vision, so to speak, in that, you know, I had to be a mother, nurturing and compassionate, while balancing that to being a father with being more firm and decisive.
Right.
But I had to constantly remind them, though, Janelle, of their roots, you know, their Filipino heritage, to take the best of both worlds. Keep in mind, you know, half of the time they were raised in the Philippines and they came to the United States. So I had to constantly remind them the Filipino and American, the molding of the values, without losing sight of their background, while at the same time appreciating the privileges of being in this country and becoming an American.
So talking to them a lot. But
lot.
did you allow your kids to talk back? We're going to be talking about that when we return on the show. Don't go away. Talking to two beautiful moms today on the show, beautiful inside and out, because they also raised successful children on their own. Tita Rocio Nuida and of course Tita Angela. You know Tita Angela, she is the mom of Mia McLeod that you see almost regularly here on Kababayan Today. We're talking about how to raise kids and how to raise successful kids. And earlier we had posed a question, talking back, because it's a Filipino trait, no? When you're raised in I was raised in the Philippines and I wasn't allowed to talk back. Did you allow your kids to talk back to you? Did you allow your kids to question whatever rules you put in place in the household?
Well, in my household, my kids are free to speak their mind. I mean, to talk whatever they want to express. But it's a no-no to show disrespect or to answer back like, you know, they're mad and they're answering back. I don't tolerate that.
How did you discipline them?
Well, I have to pull their hair. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
But I'm very strict when it comes to that. You know, I just say never talk back to me, especially if I see that they are disrespecting me already. I tell them.
Okay.
And they're good kids. They know. I just look at them. When I look at them, you know, with a very serious look, and the eyes is really mad, then they are already scared.
Ayan.
I mean,
makuha ka sa tingin.
Makuha ka sa tingin.
Yes,
That's
ganyan
true.
din ako. Okay.
Yes, in my household, that's quite common. You've met most of my children.
Right, they're very outspoken.
They're very outspoken, they're rather articulate. But, you know, that's one of the values that I taught them in raising them, that they should be able to express themselves freely. They should be able to have the independence to speak their minds, as long as it's done respectfully, like Angela said, respectfully and reasonably. You know, and so I guess, again, going back to the value system, the blending of both values. For example, when asked a question about why can't I hang out with my friends after school?
Yes.
My response was always consistent. And I would say, you may on weekends, but never on school nights. Although young in years, during the raising years of my children, somehow they understood the benefits of blending both values. Because when I say you may on weekends and not on school nights, they understood that it's a blending of both values.
Right, and plus, of
the
course,
Filipino and the American.
And you were explaining it all
and
throughout.
I explained it to them, right.
So, tips, you've raised successful kids. What do you think did you do correctly?
I think, I raised them full of love and attention. And because of being hands-on mom, and so I gave all my time to them and dedication, and I'm very passionate person. I do everything passionately, even my work, so including taking care of my children is in a passionate way, you know. So I think, shower them with love and encouragement. I never stop saying to them, believe in yourself, you can, you can do whatever you want to do if, you just believe and you can realize all the dreams you have in life.
How much of yourself do you forget for the sake of your kids? Rocio?
Yes, as cliche as it sounds, I think selflessness and unconditional love are important ingredients. You have to be selfish. When you're raising a family, when you're raising a family, you have to put the interest of your children first and you take the back seat.
Right.
You have to reinforce that it's okay to make mistakes as long as you learn from them and you don't make them again. You have to help them to build strong characters so they're able to discern right from wrong, to be honest, to have integrity. Those types of values.
So what do you think was your biggest sacrifice? The thing that you gave up the most, if any, in order to be a mom and in order to be a good mom?
Actually, there's a lot of them, a lot of sacrifice I did for my children because my life was centered into Mia and Marlene. I have two girls, right?
Yes.
So I would think of them first before myself, and I sacrificed like vacations and travel and going out with friends. Because remember, I was single,
Right.
and a lot of my friends and relatives telling me, "You're still young. This is the time you should be out there."
Right.
And
Especially you were divorced
yeah,
too,
and I
you
was
needed
divorced,
help.
and I need help, but my priority was my children. So I said, I have to, always postpone traveling, and I was postponing parties and all that for my children because my whole life and attention was just focused on them.
You know,
That's
this is really short. I always feel like we're running out of time on the show, but thank you so much for sharing your stories with us today, and happy Mother's Day to both of you. Thank you for joining us today on the show as well, and happy Mother's Day to all the moms. I'll see you again tomorrow.